You're listening to a Meatsmith Harvest. This is the podcast that encourages and equips you to grow your home around the harvest. This Farmstead Meatsmith production is made possible by you. If you like it, please consider supporting our team by going to patreon.com/Meatsmith and donating at a level you'd enjoy giving at. Your gift helps us increase the quality and quantity of all our free media education. Thank you, and happy harvesting. I guess I'm the host, so I'll say, no, I'm not. No. What am I? I'm the host, right?
You're the host.
Oh, okay. The hostess.
Yeah.
Welcome, Meatsmith, to another episode of the Meatsmith Harvest. I'm here with Brandon again, and it's been over a month, I think, again, since we've recorded. So It's fun to get back in the squeaky chairs again with you. Mm-hmm. And we've got a good episode lined up for today. Thanks to those on our Meatsmith Table membership Facebook group that are joining us right now. Hello, Desmond. You're such a faithful follower there on the table. And Instagram is going live too. So members, as you enter the group, feel free to send us questions and we'll answer any questions that we can. How was your morning?
Good. I've been butchering a lot.
Yeah, we're in our busy season.
I'm wrapping a lot. And smoking. I can see the smoke billowing right now. So it's just been lots of time in the shop.
Yeah.
It's good. Every time I have these really busy seasons in the shop, I think of some piece of equipment that might expedite things a little tiny bit. Because we've always started with the primitive setup. So, like, for instance, the first pig we slaughtered was just my teeth and fingernails. The whole thing.
Pretty much.
And we've been slowly building up the kit since then.
Yeah.
Like, we got knives, a gun.
Couple of hooks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just really been a slow acquisition of tools, which is, it's good. It means that there's no job that I haven't delegated to a tool that I don't have a perfect idea of exactly how that tool ought to do that job. So I'm a very good tool boss.
Sure.
Like, I know exactly the result I see because I've done it on my own for so long without any mechanical assistance in so many cases that it makes our purchase of any piece of equipment extraordinarily qualified. So right now I am eyeing with a great deal of fondness a ancient bacon slicer. Because I slice all the bacon by hand, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds by hand, all the slicing by myself with this hand right here. And it's a chore.
Yeah.
It's significant. It's great because I maintain sharp knives, and so that makes it possible. But the time it takes to maintain those knives at such a fever pitch of sharpitude is hours. That's a lot of time every week. And so I'm thinking that it might be, after several years of slicing by hand, at least worth thinking about getting a bacon slicer.
Yeah.
But the thing about our bacon is it's not like other bacon. Consequently, I doubt from the outset that modern slicers are designed and properly equipped to slice it. They're designed for something else. And I'm sure that they would still be good, if we bought at a certain at a certain price point. But nonetheless, we make bacon from the 20th century, the early 20th century, the 19th century. We make old bacon.
Right.
Bacon that is preserved as well as flavored and smoked. meaning it does not rot at room temperatures. Therefore, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And it changes and evolves. And so I want a slicer that slices that kind of bacon.
Uh-huh.
And I found one.
Tell us about it.
It's a Burkle,
Okay.
which is a brand everyone would recognize if you look into slicers at all. They make those pretty flywheel slicers that are 100% mechanical. But back in the day, at least what I've been able to find in England, they made bacon slicers. So a big wide tray that can accommodate a whole belly.
A whole belly, yeah.
And it's still mechanical, but it is specifically a bacon slicer. Now, it'll do other things, but it's being designed for the kind of bacon we make. I imagine that it would have serendipitous results better than I could even expect. Plus, they look awesome. Mm-hmm. They're beautiful and old and funky. So, so bacon slicer. I'm looking into it, and there is one in England that I found. There's two.
Yeah.
It's 43 inches long and 26 inches tall. It's a big thing, a big, pretty red thing, but might save our pennies for a while.
Yeah.
And get it by next season. We'll see.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out where it would actually fit in the shop.
Yes.
It could actually go right on our butcher block behind me on the screen.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Yeah.
But it is it's constantly a challenge, because one of the things that technological assistance does in the world of butchery is compromise your product. That just seems to be the way of this spirit of butchery in the modern world, as it starts to reduce the quality. And since
if you increase efficiency, then you reduce quality, as a general rule.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you let it.
Right.
You have to be intentional to not let that happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why we keep looking at all these antique things.
Yeah.
To see how it was done before, so that our expediting is not, coterminous with compromise.
Right.
It actually yields the same product as if I was doing it all by hand, know. And that is a challenge. That's a whole category that in my amateurish youth I did not think existed.
Yeah.
That you could actually use a tool with higher mechanical complexity without compromising the handmade nature of the thing. But that's the thing about amateurish zeal. It can be excessive.
That's true.
You can lose some discernment there.
Yeah. So, actually, that kind of feeds into what we're going to talk about today a little bit.
Cool.
With virtue. We're going to talk. The title is "The Virtue of Making Bacon." So it'll be a little more of an abstract episode, but. Virtue, as we know, is the mean. It's the finding of the mean. So
abstract, but also I feel like after making bacon this way for a decade, it's also the fruit of the challenges you encounter while harvesting your own animals, making food therefrom, and simultaneously not falling back on the crutch of the food supply in the grocery store. So if you're going to make both moves, not just growing your own, but actually all right, we raised a pig this year for this. So for the next 4 months or whatever, we're not going to actually buy meat.
Yeah.
Or any pork products.
Yeah.
That presents a new set of challenges.
Well, before we get too much into the meat of that, I had a couple announcements. We have more family pig classes up. And so now would be a perfect time, actually, to consider these for a Christmas gift. That's kind of what they've been great gifts for the past handful of years that we've run them. People buy these for their spouses,
for their children,
their parents. They sometimes they turn into great couples events, like a father-son or a husband-wife. If you're interested in that, let us know too. Anyway, yeah, so consider that for your holiday spending. They will take place next May, so May of 2020. And there's 2 classes available, so those are ready to schedule. The other thing, I want to start announcing when you release brand new content on our membership, because that's also constantly available to purchase, which they also make great Christmas gifts. And to that end, we have our 60-day trial available as well.
Right.
We've mentioned that for the last couple of episodes, but I want to mention it again. If you're interested in the content, but you're not quite sure if you would use it or not, give it a try. 60 days for free. It's on us. So, and you have access to all the films, all the Harvest journals, everything in the resource library, which is all the archives of your Facebook Live chats, and there's so much in there. So there's a code, 60-day trial, all no spaces.
That's the code.
That's the code. Yeah, plug that in, and you can give it a try
Upon sign up.
Yeah.
60-day trial. That's like the coupon code.
That's right. Yeah. Or maybe it's called a promo code on the page. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, you just released a new salami harvest journal. Yeah. And I wanted to read a little snippet of it.
Oh boy.
Just a little one. Just a little excerpt. It's just really good, because we actually recently talked about this on a podcast, right? A couple episodes ago. And we talked about how to make natural salami, but also using some technology. But we didn't give all the details, I guess, just breaking it down. But you really did in this little journal. Links to all the technology that you bought, and even a real general and specific recipe for the kind of salami that you make, that you made using our setup. So let me just read this real quick for you. It's pretty good. Okay, ham requires salt to help it dry without spoiling. Salami similarly requires salt to help it dry, but also to instigate another preservative function. The salami must ferment. Salubrious bacteria must consume sugar and produce acid within the salami. Without this, the wrong bacteria can proliferate and produce toxins. In the effort to avoid this, our wanted puritanical zeal in the United States compels us to add nitrite, nitrate, sugar, lactic bacteria, and sometimes even ascorbic acid to salami, and then we might even radiate it as a kill step to ensure that everything, including subtlety, is dead. I just love that line.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, there's like 3 or 4 pages. No. Sorry, 10 pages. It's a 10-page document with lots of pictures.
Of my setup.
Of your setup, yeah. It's a nice long document. So that's in the membership. What else?
Specifically about making salami without those things.
Right.
Just the only ingredients being pork, salt, and some wine as optional. Yeah. That's it.
That's right. And all based on humidity control. So
that's the key.
Yeah, which we've talked about.
Humidity control. If you want to make salami understood in the Italian context.
That's right. Okay, so and then one other thing we also just posted. I'm excited because the membership is sort of brimming with new things. For the months of November and December, we just released a big, honkin' fat film. It's a long one, and it actually was not filmed or edited by you, but by a friend of ours. Who happens to be a professional at this.
Who actually knows how to do that kind of thing.
The film is gorgeous. It's just, you can tell 3 angles the whole time, beautiful coloring, and just, he had the right lenses. We'll just put it that way. Anyway, so he captured your slaughter day fry, which has become kind of a signature dish, I would say, of yours. And we serve it at every family pig meal. It's sort of the kickoff meal of the 3-day event. And people, we constantly get emails about this years after our classes saying, do you remember that meal? Can you give me a recipe for that?
Yeah.
Or how did you quite make it? And it's just wonderful. It leaves a big impression on people, especially because they have the sauce of labor that they're eating it with. So anyway, this film up in our membership right now really details that.
Yeah, it's the meal you eat on the day that you kill the pig.
That's right.
Family pig.
So I think that combined, with the experience fresh in their mind, it's a memorable meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's up there, and I think it was like 40 minutes. And
wow.
Yeah, it was long.
Cool.
It's great. So anyway, all that salami, slaughter day fry is all in membership right now. It's got great content. Yeah. So I guess I wanted to segue into our body of the conversation. We started to say that we started talking about, well, when you slice bacon, you've been doing it for so long, the hard, grueling, handheld way.
Yeah.
Just like everything, slaughtering pigs, whatever it is, you've kind of started from this rudimentary beginning, and over the course of teaching yourself everything, kind of going, this part of the process would be expedited, but I wouldn't have to compromise if I just had this kind of tool. And I would say over the last 8 years, 10 years that we've been doing this, that, we every fall, we kind of brush up against, we need this kind of tool, that kind of tool.
Yes.
And that's a process. That's a lifelong process, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of polishing our own rock, kind of. And that reminded me of a very traditional word called virtue, or virtue acquisition, where it's we'll talk about this, but it's actually a habit. It becomes a habit. It's like you are growing through habit. You are growing closer and closer to some excellence. Yeah, it is an excellence that you're pursuing. And in the world of meat processing, I think it's actually almost helpful to get some of that classical language underneath us, so other people can understand the worthiness of this pursuit. But anyway.
Yeah,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I even think about the excellence of meat wrapping.
Sure. Yeah.
And I even have another piece of kit that I want to acquire to improve that. I mean, I am still, on the fence about a vacuum sealer, because not only because it would be such a huge investment to get one of the size and functionality that I would require. But also, I find the way that I do it, again, by hand, extraordinarily effective. I can sort of guarantee the success of the product when I do it with me hands. And so one of the things I want to get is right behind my head. You can't really see unless you're going to watch the recorded version of this, which will be on YouTube, right? Is that where we put this?
That's right.
Yeah. Right there. I didn't even talk to you about this yet.
Oh, a shelf right there?
No. A wall-mounted butcher paper dispenser.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Dispenser. It's ER.
Yeah.
But that could go right there.
You're right. Oh, yeah. It's right above our actual paper
dispenser. And right below it could go the cling film right below it instead of juxtaposed.
Okay.
Consequently freeing up half the table. Okay. That's a big deal.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
With half the table thus liberated from the clutter of meat wrapping stuff, we then have room for another piece of equipment.
Okay.
And that
Like a vacuum sealer.
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking I would just keep going with the hand wrappery.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of a bowl chopper.
Oh, I find these on my computer search bars, and I'm like, oh, he's looking for a bowl chopper.
Yeah.
I saw that this morning. Okay.
Emulsified sausages.
Yes. You've been talking about that since last summer.
I know.
Yeah.
This is how long I think about pieces of equipment. It just sticks in my brain. But the thing about a bowl chopper, by the way, is an apparatus possessed of a bowl that spins. And you put ground meat therein. And as the bowl spins, it runs the meat through blades that are spinning at a very high rate, chopping it. And it is a very efficient way to achieve an emulsified or a suspended sausage. So like a hot dog or a bologna, a mortadella. A very dense, no chunk, homogeneous sausage. And the cool thing about that kind of sausage is that part of the recipe involves either a hot smoking step or this is an option, or like a poaching step. So it's a cooked sausage that you then come back later and fry up like hot dogs at the store. That's what they are. They're hot smoked or poached. They're cooked. They're already cooked.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about those is that kids can cook them.
Yeah.
Easy. And it's so fun to just build a fire outside, find some dirty sticks, stick some weenies on them, and the kids just roast their little sausages over the fire. And so that is a serious motivator for me to get a bowl chopper. The other cool thing about it, speaking of quality, is that it enables the maximum suspension of fat by quantity in a sausage that is porcinely possible. So you could put a ton of fat in the sausage.
Right.
Like a lot. And because it's suspended in protein, it's not going to melt and run out.
Right.
So that's kind of the magic of an emulsified sausage.
So all that pork back fat that we've accumulated over years almost.
We have a ton of cured pork back fat. We have freezers full of it.
We could put that in the sausage.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's in that way, it meets, for me, the requirement of thrift. One of the highest and best uses.
Efficiency.
Of pork back fat is in a sausage. And so the bowl chopper would really facilitate that. I kind of want money for them, though. I have yet to find.
And you wouldn't want to Craigslist it. Like you want to.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I have looked on Craigslist, and occasionally one pops up that looks kind of neat. But, we have pretty particular power demands here. I need it to be.
That's true.
110,
That's true.
Maybe just 1/2, 3/4 horse.
Yeah.
So we don't take too much power.
We're kind of maxed out in a lot of ways.
But,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's all part of that discernment process, that we...
yeah, because we're limited.
Yeah.
And you just said in power, but also space in the shop. So, you add one thing, and it's not just adding one thing. It will upheave this whole shop. And so we want to make sure that it's really what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that. It'll happen someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is all part of the discernment process. And I guess for us, because we have so much started with wanting to know the beginning of the story of all the things and to engage in every process in the most intimate way possible, it's actually quite a... above and beyond the practical consideration of where to fit it, how much power do we have, and can we afford it, it ends up being like this philosophical crisis of how much kit are we going to get?
Things often are with us.
I know.
Yeah.
We just, that's the form it usually takes.
Well, why is that? I mean, we've always been rather convicted people. Like we believe something and then we don't let ourselves off the hook. We kind of go for it.
Yeah, I think it's a scrupulosity a little bit, but also I think that it's been so vindicating to find that the further back we go in any process, particularly pertaining to food, that the results are so rewarding.
Yes.
That we're like, oh my goodness, we found this precious thing, like bacon that is just mind-blowingly delicious. I don't want to lose it, you know?
And it keeps forever. And you can cook it in a variety of ways. Mm-hmm. And, you know, all these, it keeps revealing itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's something about the process as well that
sure.
qualifies the result of the process.
That's right. It's rewarding for us as humans too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that starting without the kit, without the technology, like we've done, kind of this slow growth, slow acquisition of tools and tech and kit, means that we have had the luxury, the strenuous, toilsome luxury of really learning the skill first.
Yeah.
You know, because I think one thing that it's easy for technology to do is to dull the edge of husbandry, to dull your skill a little bit, because you outsource it to a machine, and then you don't have to do it by hand. So it's easy to just forego that skill. And in that way, you're kind of alienated from the finished product a little bit. But we can look at every single slab of bacon and say, that is the result of my direct everything. I fed the pig, I killed the pig, I scraped the pig, I salted the belly, I smoked it, I sliced it by hand, and now we're frying it.
Yeah.
But, you know, now I think, okay, I've sliced thousands of pounds of bacon. I'm good. I think I could let a machine do it. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, you think you got it down.
As long as it...
Yeah.
Right, I have that skill.
Well, in some ways, I mean, it's we didn't imagine this when we first started, but there's some cases where actually the machine way can not only expedite it, but I don't want to say improve, but it can, if you source it correctly.
Yeah, it can.
It can, I don't want to say even that it would replace you, but...
It can enhance the product.
Yeah.
The end result. Yeah.
Especially if you are released to then do a different task or a different creative process.
Yeah.
And we can let one of our sons slice the bacon. Wouldn't that be a miracle?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why the end is so important. Because on what basis do you decide to upgrade your home meat production setup, you know? And I find myself saying flavor is a big deal, but it's so one-sided. It never feels quite like enough. There's so much more to it than just the flavor. And I think that's why I like the notion of excellence or virtue in even something as mundane, apparently, as bacon making. What is excellent bacon? And to me, I think if I were to define it, it's bacon with integrity. And this applies to all cured meat. It's something that is preserved without the use of refrigeration. So in that way, it's like, it's not anachronistic bacon. It actually is what it was, has always been. The revolution is refrigeration in the storing of cured meats.
Yeah.
That's the new thing. But then also, it should be extravagantly delicious. It's not good enough just to make it salt pork, you know?
Yeah.
Then it's just salt pork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to rot, but there's also the other end of it tasting real well. And that's not nothing.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's sort of like realizing, okay, I am human. I have taste buds, and I need things to taste a certain way.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have any chance of doing this in a prolonged way, you know, for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
And that is not a small thing. Like, we've been curing and making bacon, like I said, for 10 years. We haven't I think I bought some Benton's bacon like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to see what it's like, you know, famous, where is he, in Kentucky or Tennessee or something. well known. Just wanted to try it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it has only been what we have cured. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the only thing in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like the only thing we're eating.
Yeah.
So it's not just in the realm of utter indulgence, particularly if you're going to take upon yourself the limitation of, in lieu of grocery store meat, we're raising our own. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different ball game. It forces you to up your culinary game substantially. Mm-hmm. You gotta learn how to cook, because you can't just patch things up with a multiplicity of readily available, affordable ingredients. Got to keep it simple, keep it pure.
Mm-hmm. How many people do you know you would say truly share your back to the land values, or your passion for home-scale craft meat curing, or simply love the multifaceted beauty of a good meal as obsessively as you do? Maybe a handful? At farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we've created an online community of hundreds of omnivores from around the world, and a platform for them to learn from and inspire one another. In addition to our major semi-annual hands-on educational event, The Family Pig, here at our Pacific Northwest homestead, over at farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we host a purely digital membership program with an archive of film and textual resources years deep now, for you to dive deeper into your food journey with. And both our classes and online program include access to our private community Facebook page for your continued education and fellowship. We've been told that our classes are life-changing and the membership program unparalleled in quality and quantity. To get a taste of our education, search farmsteadmeatsmith.com and our YouTube channel for our free films, conversations, and downloads. Explore how we and other meatsmiths across the globe may best come alongside you, putting the knife in your hand, article by article, and comment thread by comment thread, and can support you in building your home around the harvest. Please head to farmsteadmeatsmith.com today.
Yeah.
What can people anticipate when they start making their own bacon? I mean, people, like, we have new members right now even who are posting right and left their first or maybe their second year of harvesting pigs using our methods, and these home kitchens are just being transformed. It's beautiful. It's really encouraging to see, and it's their first time and they have an idea of what they want it to be, and sometimes it will turn out the first time, and just like with anything, it takes a while. Like, it will be, it's a learning process, I mean, you're making bacon now way better than you did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know more about a process. And at the same time, the more you learn, the more you realize how much more you have to learn. So it's like this ever
receding goal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how excellence is. It never stops calling you onward to it, but
yeah, I feel like what people may find, especially when you make your first batch, we've talked about this before, that it's actually easy to make bacon. It's sometimes the tricky thing can be to eat it all.
Yeah, that's true.
When you have 30 pounds of it.
Yeah, right.
And so it's especially important to expand your definition of what bacon is, not just pre-sliced, shrink-wrapped breakfast meat.
That's for sure.
That is a very narrow definition of what bacon is.
It's almost like when I first visited England, way before, maybe even before, I think before I met you even, and all I had in my mind was American grocery store bacon. I didn't like English bacon. And I think it's because it was sort of more like what we make now.
Yeah. Yeah, they
fattier.
Yes.
Yeah, thicker.
Well, and they also have a distinction that exists nowhere that I've seen in the American language about bacon, the American product line of bacon. There, they make a distinction between wet and dry cured.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bacon is such a huge part of British culture that they'll advertise it as like, this is dry cured bacon.
Oh, huh.
And that is a different product, and that is something to be desired. not just brined, you know.
So would you say, is most of their bacon brined then?
I don't know.
Oh.
Just the little shop I went to, that was a selling point.
Oh.
That this is dry cured.
Okay.
And, well, dry curing takes longer. So brining is quicker.
That's true.
And so it can be a sign of, you know, choosing quantity over quality to brine bacon.
I wonder if you can use that term wet cured to denote what has now become the industrial scale method of, which is just injecting the bacon.
Stitch pumped. Yeah, they do inject it with a brine rather than soaking it with a brine. And they inject it with the maximum number of needles. It's like, you know, one needle short of what would disintegrate the molecular structure of the belly. Like, it's really, it's totally perforated.
Right.
Which is very rapid. You know, so, a lot of bacon. There, you know, there's lots of people that are doing it differently.
Yeah. Smaller
companies, even some larger ones. But, yeah.
What, you said that the hardest thing is to eat bacon sometimes. How have we overcome that?
I think what has happened for us is learning how to handle rancidity. So rancidity is something that happens in bacon. And the longer it hangs out in your kitchen, the more oxidized the fat will become. And that will really kick up the nutty sort of buttery flavor of the fat upon first crunch. But then as you continue to chew it, it could get just super bitter, depending on how long it's been hanging out. So rancidity is a thing. And so for us, the bacon changes throughout, you know, as it hangs, and consequently, the way we cook with it changes because we start with the ingredients rather than the recipe and let the ingredients determine the recipe. Yeah. And so young bacon is breakfast bacon for us. Young bacon. Yeah. Because it's not rancid or bitter at all. It's only been hanging out for a couple months.
It's easy to slice too.
Easy to slice. The surface hasn't become super dry and desiccated, mimicking the chewiness of jerky, which is what happens. The longer it hangs, it'll start to get real chewy. So
I should say it's easier to slice thin, which is nice. You can still slice it as it gets older, but you notice that the marks of the knife get thicker and thicker as it gets, you know, progressively older.
Yeah, and harder.
Until, I would say at the very end where you can't slice it anymore. Yeah. And I cube it. You know, I'll make like 1/2 to 3/4 inch slices, you know, and then I cube those, and then that goes in beans. Right. I mean, that's not even like sliced bacon anymore.
Right. And I would say that's actually a really good strategy for dealing with rancid fat.
Sure, that's right.
It tastes real nice in beans.
Right.
I don't know what the deal is or how that works, but it's, you know, a slice of bacon that would just be on the limit of tolerable in terms of bitterness. Right. If you cube up that same bacon and put it in your pot of beans, meaning starting from dry beans, and you cook it for that long period, it's real nice.
It is, yeah.
It's really good. Sort of like the magic ingredient in beans.
Yeah, I mean, it almost even turned, depending on the slab of bacon, but it almost even turned the meat fibers, or they kind of get shreddy, and it almost turns into this like pulled pork kind of thing, even though it's less meat. Yeah. Because bacon has less meat, but it is more shredded. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. Yeah. Here's one thing that I thought of when I was anticipating this episode. You've talked about how every belly is different. Yeah. So you need to develop a prowess, is maybe a good word, or a sensibility for determining each belly differently in its needs, you know, depending on the breed of pig that it was coming from, the age that it was when you slaughtered it, the diet, especially the diet, the water content of the actual belly, just, and all those are factors coming from husbandry and diet, and the breed itself, and then even, you know, how well was it scalded and scraped, or just the thickness of it, you know, that too. All these play a role in how you're going to salt, and how long you're going to salt, how much salt you're going to use.
Yeah.
And so there's no one standard recipe that you can apply to all the bellies in the world.
Yeah.
There's a general one, but you have to be a integral part of that recipe.
Yeah.
So your senses are picking up on cues based on how much water is extracted and all that, that you know, okay, now this belly is done. And I would say that is more virtue acquisition, because you're developing yourself than, like, because virtue acquisition is not popular right now. Like, if you go to the universities, you don't talk about virtue. You talk about situational ethics. You talk about utility. So, you know, you go to any philosophy course 101 and they're like, come up with some extravagant scenario where you have to save either 100 people or 5 babies. What are you going to do? And it's like, it basically all comes down to what's the fewest number of lives that you have to kill,
right?
Is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And these situations never arise because they're too crazy. Yeah. They're too out of the ordinary. Right. No one has lives like that. Yeah. But also what you do encounter in life are small little decisions, and added up over time, you can become a virtuous person. Yeah. And then say at the end of your life, after you've been doing this, you can be kind of a hero. You can be presented with this big magnanimous opportunity for heroic virtue, and then you actually do well.
You make the right choice.
Yeah.
Because you've made all the little ones.
That's right. Yeah. And I was applying this to bacon making. Yeah. Because you do make those little tiny decisions, and you're polishing your own rock, and you're trying to figure out how to make this belly work, you know, not just with the belly itself, but also taking into consideration your own kitchen, and how are you and your spouse and possibly children or grandchildren, like everyone that's involved in your household, like how is this going to be eaten well? And I just think that it's a really good analogy. Yeah. Because you're part of the equation. Yeah. Yes, and I think that it sounds complex, like there's all these variables, you know, of the diet and the genetics and thickness of belly and time of year and all this stuff. But really there is a simplicity to it when you get the ends laid out. Sure. And that's why I feel like if you can, because technically you could butcher a whole pig, cut everything into everything, roughly 4-inch thick chunks. And just salt all of it if you wanted to, which would be kind of fun. And there's lots of traditional ways for actually doing just that. It's like gammon was, which is the back leg of a pig still attached to the side. When you cured the whole side is one thing. But you could technically just salt all that stuff, let's say, for 6 days. Right. And call it all the same recipe. That's kind of what bacon used to mean. Now we've limited bacon to just the belly cut, but bacon was basically the whole pig, synonymous with pork, at least in British context, which we kind of inherited. And but you can do that, and then if you know how to deal with it in the kitchen, you just have to be a little docile in the kitchen and receptive to whatever the bacon gives you, whatever the yield is. So it's tricky. I feel like that's one thing. Whoa, hello. That's one thing that people can get hung up on, you know, is how do I use this thing in the kitchen? It's like, well,
multiply your notion of use, in the kitchen. And it's all about being flexible with the meal. And so I think that if you have some virtue in cooking, that would go a long way. That's like 90% of the battle.
Yeah.
In attaining the virtue of bacon curing. Is flexibility in cooking.
Yeah. Because once again, like you said, the ends, you have to get your ends right.
Yeah.
And just like in my philosophy example, the ends there are either utility, or like for bacon, it would be salt as much as you can right away so that we can...
Doesn't rot.
So it doesn't rot.
Yeah.
We can survive another winter.
Yeah.
Which, those aren't bad.
Right.
But are they your final end, or are they like a nice first stage kind of end priority, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's two ends, and I think that if we just wanted to not die, which this is like a self-imposed limitation on account of the fact that we have freezers now. But if we just wanted to make that kind of bacon, then it's that purely utilitarian end.
Yeah, which is not bad, because you just said a few minutes ago that that's how they used to do it. They used to just salt the heck out of everything and call it done. Not everyone did that, but... That's
true. It was always mitigated, though, by the fact that they had extraordinarily fat pigs.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really hard to oversalt solid fat.
That's true.
And we're talking about bellies 4 inches thick with like 2 little pale streaks of meat that's basically just saturated with fat. So it wasn't terribly crazy salty.
Okay.
And they would still cook it and prepare it.
That's right. And
there was still a simmering step.
People knew how to cook too.
Yeah.
So that's
right. They would pull the salt out that they had necessarily put in order to prevent spoilage.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, that is a necessary part of this whole equation.
Yes, and it makes me think about the ends. Like, why do we cook at all? Which is a thing I keep coming back to. Because there is just the utilitarian argument that, well, it's so that food is easier to metabolize. Like we need to cook it so we can chew it and break it down. But even that, it's like, well, there's a lot of people on a raw diet and looking pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and healthy. There's people that eat raw meat only, totally uncooked. And that actually kind of works. And then even like, well, it's because it tastes better. Yeah. And it's like, even taste is kind of subjective. You can acquire pretty much a taste for anything. Give yourself a couple weeks of eating it. And you can start to like it.
Right.
Even raw foods, raw pork is delicious. Like carpaccio and stuff. So,
especially if you add a few other like onions or things to it.
Yeah, there's subjective elements there. And in any case, the utilitarian end and the flavor end of cooking don't explain the extravagant lengths to which we go in preparing our food.
I know. It's true.
Given, like a well-equipped kitchen and a culinary art, oh my goodness, you think of the greatest culinary cultures and cooking apparati, like our shiny pots and pans and incredibly, the incredible ability to moderate heat very precisely to the degree, we just go all out for the food that we prepare. And both of those explanations, if they kind of fail a little bit to me. There's more to it. And I think it is partly our inherent pursuit and desire for excellence. Which just begs the question, like, where does that come from? So that doesn't even answer it at all. But yeah, I think it's there's more to that story. Because when I find myself describing, like, you know, bacon with integrity, the perfect cured meat, it always feels like a little bit of a letdown to be like, well, why would you make bacon like this? Because it tastes amazing. It's like, well, yeah. Or, you know, because it won't spoil. It's like, well, I've got a freezer. You know, why would you go to all of this trouble? And it's like, well, there's virtue in the discipline of raising the pig, of harvesting the pig, of engaging with yourself as a killer of creatures in order to sustain your own being and others. So there's a self-knowledge to be gained. And then there's this virtue of excellent cooking.
It's almost like the difference between natural virtue and supernatural virtue, which there is a difference. And the flavor argument. What was the other one that you said?
Just the utilitarian.
Nutrition.
Yeah, nutritional.
Just survival.
Yeah.
Those are natural. And even self-knowledge to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Those are all
Yeah.
sort of on the natural virtue end.
Right. Because even animals do a lot of those things. Sentient animals.
Sure.
You know,
Some of them on a limited basis.
Yeah. Some animals will preserve food.
Really?
Yeah.
How do they do that? Oh, like
you know,
burying
honey
them.
pot ants.
You're right.
Will do it.
Yeah.
Bees. You know. Dogs bury bones.
Right. You're right.
And then we look at what the dog is doing. We're like, oh, see how the soil organisms break down the meat and make it easier for the dog to eat and populate his own gut with all this stuff. And it's like, it is, which is amazing. It truly is. Yeah. It is still, those are just the natural ends.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So what are the supernatural ends? Or like we're almost talking about the different causes of something.
Yeah.
Material, efficient, formal, and final cause.
Yeah.
I don't know if final cause. What are these higher goals?
Well, I think that it's if you look at human life or life on planet Earth, we all grow, we all feed ourselves, we all, you know, undergo the nourishing. And we all reproduce. And that's like something we share with plants, pigs, and our chuthers. That is across the board. Those are like the movements of life.
Yeah. Okay.
That we all do. But when you look at plants, animals, and humans, we all do, except for growth, we all grow about the same. But we nourish and reproduce a little differently. All across the board. Yeah. And particularly with nourishment, like even in the animal kingdom, you look at carnivores like to kill and then eat. Omnivores, they just kind of start eating. Live animals, you know, they'll just go at it. As a general rule.
Wait, did you say that carnivores just start eating?
No, carnivores like to kill, like cats, you know?
Yeah.
Big cats.
Okay.
They will take down an animal. It's amazing.
They'll go for the throat.
They go for the throat.
And then they start eating the innards, basically.
Yeah.
Like they kill. They
kill first.
Get it
which
dead.
is a culinary step.
Okay.
It's like primordial cooking, I think. Not primordial. I don't really like that word.
Patience,
but it's primitive. Like, why kill first if you're just a lion?
Yeah.
Right? Why are you killing?
Yeah, you're right.
It's very interesting to me. That they actually, because it is an extra step. It's extra.
Yeah.
It seems superfluous. Whereas like a pig will just start eating a lame animal while it's alive. Bears will eat you while you're alive.
Right.
No problem. They don't kill first.
They're not, yeah.
And I think the distinction there is generally that they're omnivores, whereas the carnivores kill first. And I don't know, maybe it's an efficiency of energy thing. You know, the omnivores are scavenging you. Whereas the carnivores can't scavenge anything else but meat. That's all that they eat. Therefore, they're more economic with their effort or something, you know? And it makes more sense. And so even when you see like a lion take down a kudu or something, in Africa, they hold them the way that I hold sheep when I slaughter them. They lay them down on their side.
Right.
Usually, they get to the opposite side of the legs, so they're not being kicked to death.
Right.
And the animal its neck is craned back, and that's where their huge canine teeth are inserted. And I think that generally the animal either dies by bleeding out or by cervical dislocation from those canine teeth.
Yeah.
All in that vital area around the neck.
Yeah.
But why am I saying all of this? So that's like a simple culinary step, that kill.
Yeah.
Far cry from indoor cooking apparatus that we have in our kitchens. We go so far. Just to sustain our bodies, just to sustain ourselves. And I think...
Well, it's not... What you're saying is that it's not just to sustain ourselves.
We go way beyond.
There's other reasons for that kind of
we go way beyond.
labor.
And I don't think it's just for flavor either, because, again, you can learn to like anything. Like, you would have to... I wonder, it's almost like we imagine flavors and then we achieve them. Which is crazy. The subtlety you get in tasting wine, from people that discipline their palate in that way, way beyond. Especially wine. Yeah. Wine is so extravagant, so useless.
It's such a, but it's also like...
in the best way.
Such a sacred, food item across cultures. And
so whenever I try to think about that, it's almost like we're feeding more. We know that there's something more going on. It's how conscious beings eat rather than just sentient beings. So you think of sentient beings like a pig, they have some degree of awareness of their subjectivity and the world's objectivity. And the difference between themselves and the world.
Right.
In order to be able to pursue food and actually make movements towards it, they have to have that to some degree.
Yeah.
But we're so far beyond. We like to sit down at the same time, hopefully. At the table. Yeah. And we like to express gratitude before we eat. Yeah. And we toast, we get liturgical at meals.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to get the kids to be even more so, because I'm trying to train them. I could just set the table myself and it would go way quicker. Yeah. But it's like, okay, Simon's got to do the forks. Yeah. And then Johnny does the plates and Wallace does the cups. And they've all got their things. And now, but it's just chaos. Yeah. So I'm getting ready to lay down the law as far as quiet. We need to do these things quietly. Yeah. And it started out in my head as a practical thing. Like when they're loud, they just start fighting, and then chaos gets worse, and then they're not even doing their chores anymore, and then people are running outside, and the whole thing's over. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, there's a reason, even at the practical material level, to have quiet and, dare I say, reverence, to this setting the table kind of movement. Yeah. And I think that's how those things are born. And then eventually, because everyone is so quiet, minding their own business and everything, then their minds can automatically be turned toward the good that is about to happen, the community of sitting down together. Yeah. We can be mindful of the right things. Yeah. This conversation will be continued in a forthcoming Part 2 episode. Thanks for listening, and peace be with you.